Ooh, you know it's gonna be a good one. Today's gonna be a good one. Welcome to the channel. I gotta say, today I'm very excited because we're gonna be talking about something I am very passionate about, and that is choosing the right music for your film or documentary. So before I became a filmmaker, I was a musician in a band, and eventually I became a film composer. I scored trailers, films, but mostly documentaries, and in 2018 I won a Telly Award for Best Original Score, and in 2019 West Side vs. the World was released, and that was the first big documentary I composed for, and that came out on Netflix and later Amazon Prime. Because I had such a good understanding of music, I know that that helped me become a better editor and a better director. Music plays a huge role in the style of film that you're trying to create. And today I'm going to show you guys how to choose the right music for your film. So before we get into choosing the right music for your film, we have to first break down a few things so you guys understand how the process works. To start with, there's two different ways you can go about getting music for your film, and that is music licensing from a library or a stock music site, and the second way is hiring a composer to produce an original score for your project. There are definitely pros and cons to both music licensing and hiring a composer. Music licensing is a great option if you don't have a huge budget and your turnaround time is tight. The con is that you can't make any adjustments to the music, and most of the time stock music sites don't really come with the ability to download stems. So you're kind of stuck with whatever that track is. Hiring a composer for your project is definitely my favorite out of the two options, but it usually tends on being more expensive, and you're really at the mercy of how fast your composer can score for your film. Trust me when I tell you this, composing an original score takes some time. So if you decide to go the stock music route, there's a lot of great sites out there, but the library that I use is MusicBed. They have a subscription-based license where you can download unlimited music monthly. Quality of music on MusicBed to me is just untouched. I don't think that there's a better stock music site out there at that price that will give you that quality of music. For me, it's worth it because I feel like music is such a crucial component to your edit or to your film. Now, there are other great options for stock music sites. If you guys are interested in me creating that video exploring the other options of stock music sites, drop some comments down below. Let me know that you guys are interested in that video, and I'll be sure to make it for you guys. Now, if you decide to hire a composer, I recommend you find someone that has produced a similar style of music that you're looking for. Trust me when I tell you, not everyone can do any style. There's a lot of different types of music out there. Make sure that they can produce that style that you're looking for. Or ask for a 30-second sample piece of music just so you know that they can deliver on what it is that you're asking them to. So now that you know the different ways to go about getting music, the first thing that we're going to talk about is finding the right musical style for your film. First question that I ask myself is, what time period does the film or documentary take place in? A lot of the time, music could be used as a tool to help you create this environment, create this setting for your film. If your film is about 8th century Vikings traveling and conquering the world, maybe you want to gravitate towards something a little bit more organic and use instruments that are indigenous to the time and the people of that period. Now, if it's modern day or a setting in the future, maybe you want to use something a little bit more electronic, maybe elements like synthesizers, more modern instruments to keep true to the setting. Ultimately, what I like to do is keep a consistent style of music throughout my films. And that doesn't mean that everything needs to sound the same, but it should sound like everything lives in the same world. That way, if you have a music cue back to back, it doesn't feel like two separate stories that you're trying to tell. You should look at music as its own character and ask yourself how this character helps drive your story. How does it help push it forward? What role does the music play? I'm going to show you guys a clip from a documentary I shot as an example of how music could help tell your story.
Hearing that news from the doctor that morning paralyzed me. My whole world was going to fall apart.
Now, our main character in this moment feels isolated and broken, and she literally says like her whole world was falling apart. Now, the goal for the music was to have it feel like it was stripped down, to have it feel like it was empty and personal, and it made you kind of lean in and listen to what she was saying and feel like you were just in the room with her and a piano player. And these aspects are very important while you're choosing music. What is your cornerstone? I asked myself, what's the thing that the music hangs on and represents? For us in this scene, what we wanted to do was emulate the feeling of isolation and quiet despair that she was going through. A big one is trying to think about what the music is going to represent in your story. Is it a feeling, a time, a place? Whatever it is, make the music mean something. Give it a purpose. And you'll start to see that the answer to what music you should choose starts to become very clear. Another aspect I think about when I'm choosing the direction of a score is, are we gonna gravitate more towards a thematic score or more towards a tonal soundscape kind of a score? A thematic score has centralized themes for places, characters, or events that take place in the film. They're very noticeable and they usually have some sort of memorable hook. If you want a good example of what a thematic score sounds like, go listen to anything that John Williams has produced, something like Jurassic Park or Star Wars. There's literally a theme for all the main characters, and that's one way of doing it. That's one way of going about doing the music for your film. The tonal soundscape type of scores are less noticeable, but they tend to use organic or synthetic textures to create this sort of feeling that drives an emotion, kind of like this track right here. Now, of course, you could do both in your film. In fact, a lot of films and documentaries do, but at least this gives you some sort of general idea on what to think about when you're browsing through a library or you're talking to a composer. When you're choosing music for a scene, you really have to think about the pacing that you're going for. Music can have a huge impact on how the film starts to move, and choosing a track with the right tempo is crucial to delivering the right feeling. So try to think about what's happening in your film. If you're trying to build tension or excitement, chances are you're gonna want something that moves a little bit faster, that has a bit of a faster pace, and that has a build. And if there's an important conversation or interview that you want the audience to listen closely to, maybe you want something a little bit more slower paced, and maybe even a bit repetitive so it draws the audience towards the conversation and less towards the music. Another great tip is before you shoot anything, while you're still in the pre-production phase and you're writing a script or a treatment for your film or documentary, create some sort of playlist to listen to before you shoot. That way you could try to make music a part of the creative process. Anytime that I shoot with music in mind, I always end up having a more cohesive, well put together edit. Music for me is a crucial aspect of filmmaking, and I hope this helps you guys get a better understanding of what music could mean and represent in your film. If you guys have any questions regarding film composing or anything that has to do with music and film, drop them in the comments down below. Like always, if you guys like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.